Ned, I know the communities we do together, we like to try to get that front door started so that the people have that sense of arrival. You mentioned that at the beginning of our discussion today. So we start the entryway elements, the entry monuments, and that's kind of going on as we're working our way through a number of inspections with the county and the state before we can ultimately put the asphalt on the roads. We're testing sewer and water connections, doing bacteriological tests. We're testing the ground to make sure that it can support the roads. Well, once we get through those stages, we get to the point where we can put down the base asphalt, the first layer of asphalt. And I think that's when it really locks everything in for the builder, potentially for the potential home buyers. That base asphalt going down is kind of the transition stage in development. We've moved from all of the heavy on-site work to the fine details that make it look more like a community. The base asphalt has gone in. We're starting to finish the entryway. We're bringing in the private utilities for gas, phone, cable, and the like. They're putting their facilities in on the sides of the road, all leading up probably about within the month after that to the builder being able to buy the lots. And then a key part that's right in the middle of all that, which is back to the county approval process, is the recording of the plat. We've talked about the master site plan, the construction plans to build the site, and another vital plan is the recorded plat that changes the land from 3 large parcels that made up the site to multiple parcels that the builder can ultimately buy in order to build a lot on. And that platting process itself takes a number of months to get through.
And a lot of steps and a lot of follow-up.
A lot of steps and a lot of cost as well. There's investments in the design process. There are bonds that the developer must put up, not only at the beginning, and we've really skipped over the cost of those. There's a tremendous amount of money that is not only in the site work itself, but is put up by the developer in order to secure the site work. There's a series of sureties and bonds that are put in place that transition throughout the entire life of the project, even past when the builder is done building the homes, that are still being administered by the developer, ultimately to the point of their release. And a number of those come into play at the time of the plat. So about mid-development, the plat process is started. Right about when the road asphalt goes down, the plat is recorded, and those sureties go in place, and we finish up the sides of the road, we get grass growing, we have the entryway done, we start to turn on the irrigation, put in the landscaping, get the signage up, and the community, I think right about that point, for the public, is born. That's when they can really see it and drive into it.
Right. And then, of course, getting the bonds release is an art form all unto itself. Mm-hmm. And as we are moving towards the completion with the final pavement, mm-hmm. And getting the bonds released and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Another case, the other thing we have to deal with is, for example, there is a stormwater detention pond, temporary stormwater detention pond mm-hmm. in Ridgewood Park, which we had to capture the stormwater coming off of the site and hold it.
That's right.
And it impacts a couple lots. Mm-hmm. So Pat can't build on it as long as it's storing water instead of full of dirt. But we can't release that until we meet the criteria.
Exactly.
Then the county gives us the approval to come back, fill it in.
Exactly.
And
we have to contain our pollution. You know, we're a factory after a fashion. That factory's outside, and we're creating erosion and other types of pollutants from our site that we have to be responsible for, just like any manufacturing facility. And that basin you described grabs those pollutants and holds them, doesn't allow them to go off our site. And I think there's a lot more that goes into that than people realize. You know, they see land development and they figure everything's kind of automatically going downstream. And really, with the amount of regulation that is in place across the country, the impacts of development on stormwater, while it can be significant if it's not controlled, it's probably one of the better regulated industries out there in that regard. So we have to contain it, and once we have enough lots that have homes on them and grass yards on them so that erosion slows down, we can close that basin out. But it is kind of a dance near the end of getting enough homes built in order to get the basin closed, in order to turn those last couple lots over to the builder.
I know Pat's frustrated with it,
Yeah.
with us, but also the county, because he has some buyers that would like to have a house on one of those lots.
They're pretty lots.
Yeah.
They're nice and big lots right in the nice corner.
He can't build it because there's
Yeah.
what we call a BMP, a best management
Yeah.
practice pond sitting there. So,
But they're going to be great lots to sell when it's ultimately
Sure.
there. Yeah.